I would say that easily the most controversial difference between Surface Duo 1 and Surface Duo 2 is the addition of the rather large camera bump on the back of Duo 2. Now, granted, it does improve the photographic ability of the device by a fairly non-insignificant amount. Duo 1's camera is, I mean, it's okay for Instagram, I guess, if you're just taking a quick picture, but in any kind of sort of more difficult scenario like lower light, it really falls apart. Whereas Duo 2's camera, I think, in a lot of scenarios, kind of holds its own against devices, even like the Z Fold 4. But if you don't care about that camera, and what you cared about was the fact that you could fold your device all the way around without getting a wedge shape. You could fold all the way around flat like the original Duo, which, you know, look, if I'm being honest, is still one of the more impressive things that any, phone on the market can do, is to fold flat like that and be so thin. If that is more important to you than that camera performance, you probably were hesitant to buy Duo 2 because it just didn't make a lot of sense to you. Well, up until recently, there really wasn't much you could do. You could either buy Duo 1 or buy Duo 2. That is unless your name is Phil, because apparently this individual, they reached out to me on Twitter and tagged me in this. They did something that I don't think anyone else was maybe planning on doing. They cracked open their Surface Duo 2 and they removed the camera bump. They replaced it with an old piece of PCB or something they'd laying around just to kind of fill in the gap. And then they put a skin over the top of it to sort of make it all look relatively normal. They removed the camera bump from their Surface Duo 2. Now, if you want to see how this was done, they posted a 22-minute long video where he literally shows the entire process, popping off the back glass, removing the camera bump, putting it all back together. I'm not going to show you very much of this video at all because I would encourage you to go watch it yourself. It's fairly interesting, in particular if you just want to see the internals of Duo 2 and just see this this process this brave individual decided to go through. But you can see their back glass is off, camera is there. Now he's actually removing the camera module itself, removing the camera bump from the back of the glass, because that's going to be an important piece of this as well. Filling that camera bump with a small piece of silicone, a piece of another board, just to sort of fill it in, and then putting the whole thing back together. Now you may be wondering, what is the effect on this? Well, he talks about this. The camera apps, when he tries to launch them, with exception to, I think Adobe Lightroom is the only one that actually worked normally for him, the camera does crash, although he did discover later on that if you put the device into phone mode, the camera does actually work. So you could put this thing into phone mode, make sure that this is your active screen, and then you could use your selfie camera. Basically, it would be similar performance to Duo 1. Actually, the camera's going to be worse than Duo 1 at that point, because Duo 1 had a pretty okay sensor for the selfie camera. Because it was doing double duty, it's worse on Duo 2. It's fine for selfies, but using it as a primary camera, it should perform worse. He also did replace that skin with another one where he literally, I think he just used a front skin and then cut the hole out there for the flash module, which I guess you wouldn't really need to even do that. You could just cover the flash module, because you're not going to, unless you want the flashlight, you could still use the flashlight. So never mind. No, you'd want to leave that uncovered. In terms of how well it worked, well, there you go. It's pretty close. It's pretty close to folding all the way flat. Obviously, Duo 1 folds perfectly flat with no problem. If you add a skin to Duo 1, it kind of acts a bit like this already. So this is pretty close. This is pretty much the same as Duo 1 in a lot of ways. So yeah, I don't really have a whole lot more to say about this. This is just a crazy, interesting thing that this individual did. Like I said, if you want to see this full process, I will link to it down in the description below. Let me know what you think about this. Is this something that's crazy to you? Would you be interested in a Duo 2 sans camera module that might act a little bit funky sometimes? Having the new processor, the faster refresh rate screens, these slightly bigger screens, NFC, the bigger battery, and then just removing the camera yourself. Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for subscribing if you are new here and have just done so. I will see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friend.